Oh gosh, sorry I'm late. The bus was slow.
It's unlike you to be late for your sessions. I can't help but to notice that it's coming after last week where I very suddenly, at short notice, cancelled your session.
Oh gosh, yeah. Are you okay? I got a bit concerned.
Thank you for your concern. Yes, I'm okay. I suppose I'm wondering how it was for you to be without the space that you can normally rely upon.
I did think I'd miss our session. I was at Dad's for the week. I can actually work better there, and since you cancelled it, it worked quite well. I've got a new job starting tomorrow through a friend of mine, which is good. I can actually put the heating on now. Let's see. I've also applied for a couple more full-time roles. I guess I feel ready to be part of something. I think the routine would actually do me some good. What else? I've been thinking about life in general and how to deal with Mum. I guess I want to have some sort of communication with her. Maybe some clearer boundaries without being too prescriptive. I realise I don't not want to have a relationship with her.
Yeah, so you thought you'd miss our session, but you had other options like spending time at your dad's. You've been busy with a new job starting, and you've thought things through on your own. It sounds like you want things to be different with your mum. And I'm wondering maybe if you're feeling like you'd like things to be a little bit different here with me too.
Mum keeps me at a distance. She often cancels the arrangements we make, while she also badgers me to see her. I get confused, and I guess I'm worried she'll get more ill, and then I'll lose her. I'm trying to listen more to her. I'm trying to think more about what she's going through. But I also want to express how I feel about things, so we can have more of an enjoyable relationship. I don't want to dwell on the past too much. I don't know the strategy yet, but that's my plan.
So you've been thinking a lot about your mum and how concerned you feel about her being ill and the difficult and conflicted feelings that you've got about her. I think you want to know her to know more of your feelings, but at the same time you don't want to hurt her. So you don't want the past to get in the way of what you feel, and you want your feelings to be taken seriously, but there are still some quite difficult and troubled feelings left over from the past. I'm wondering, and I might be wrong about this, when you talk about your mum keeping you at a distance and how she cancels you at the last minute, your concern about her being unwell, I can't help but to think about the parallels here with us, of how you've been left in the lurch by me this last week, and your concern about whether I'm okay.
I'm just feeling really conflicted about Mum. I'm angry with her, and I'm also really afraid of losing her. I can see too that I probably did feel pissed off about our session last week. But I put it to the back of my mind. I still want to cut my mum off though, like I did with Jeff.
I think this is the way that you've always looked after yourself. I think cutting off is a way of acting on your feelings when you don't feel that you've got the words. I think it's a communication you feel will be understood and it's final. So maybe you're also feeling like you'd like to cut off your counsellor too. Then I'd really know how you're feeling.
It's the only way that I've ever been able to show how I feel. I've not really thought about it before, but I think literally instinctively I turn to switching someone off when anything feels remotely uncomfortable. I'm still angry and upset about Jeff. I had friends for dinner on Saturday. One of them does your job, actually. I said to that friend, although I'm not as upset, I still get very sad occasionally. I realise it's going to take a bit more time. I can't seem to let it go.
You've still got a lot of mixed and confused feelings about Jeff.
Well, this friend who's a qualified counsellor says, why don't I contact Jeff and say what I'm feeling? She says maybe I've acted something out from my past. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think this is actually very helpful, what you're raising here. I think it's a good question for us to think about. Is this something that you've acted out from your past? I think it's also a question coming from a counsellor who's also a friend, which feels reassuring when your counsellor who's not a friend proves to let you down. And might it be possible that you're wondering whether I'm really qualified to be of help, and what you'd really like to do is switch me off too, perhaps?
I mean, I do and I don't. I mean, I've come some way to begin to challenge these impulses. The pull to cut off is just so forceful. Maybe I miss the drama of the relationship rather than Jeff. I mean, that's what my counsellor friend says. I don't think I'd accept him back in my life because I wouldn't trust him. But I feel if I were to let go of him mentally and emotionally, I'd be admitting that I've completely failed.
You feel you've failed Jeff, but it's also the other way around. I think you feel failed, but when you feel failed, you turn failure back onto yourself. But you're also feeling failed by your counsellor, and you're not sure if I can be accepted back.
It does sound silly when I hear this reflected back to me. The patterns I'd like to change. There's some things I know I got badly wrong, but equally I feel like some other stuff I did bloody right. But shit happens, right? I did what I thought was right, and if it wasn't what he wanted, well, such is life. I was never hurtful, malicious, or closed off. I went all in, which is unusual for me. And I'm happy I did. But it makes it harder to think about doing that again. I don't want to expose myself again and be in that situation. Perhaps that's why I don't want to let go, because if I do, I'll be prone to putting myself out there again. Because it's something you can't control, falling in love. Maybe you just think I'm waffling.
Why, thinking that you're waffling would be very dismissive of your feelings, wouldn't it? I think it feels like when things come into focus as black or white, it makes a whole lot of sense to take a stand and switch someone off when you feel hurt. And what you're letting me know is how vulnerable and exposed you felt when you got close to Jeff. And as long as you're angry and rejecting, you won't feel so exposed and vulnerable.
Now I'm freer and happier compared to how I was 3 or 4 months ago.
Well, that feels very poignant. I'm wondering whether you can say more about these freer and happier feelings.
I mean, like I said, I've done so many things wrong in the relationship. But now I'm more like myself. I can reflect on the fact that some of the things he accused me of are correct and some aren't. But I'm not that bothered anymore. I've learned some things. I can live with my personality. But if I were to be in the same position again, I probably would react the same way. Seeing the same mistake is fine. It's for them to forgive or not. I know at times he might have thought I was stonewalling, but it just wasn't like that. well, maybe I do a bit, but I guess that's something I can work on. But we all have some things we have to work on, don't we? I just want someone to accept me for who I am.
It sounds hard when you go over this in your mind, trying to work out who's at fault. I suppose what you really want is for someone to accept you for who you are, however difficult your feelings might be.
You know, I always do a lot of thinking outside the therapy. I mean, my old boss used to say that sometimes I could think about something to death.
We've not really had a chance to think together about this until now. And your old boss comes into your mind and puts your thinking down with sounded like a bit of a wry laugh.
All right. Well, my old boss, he always put me down. And I was just thinking how I thought my way through something outside of the session. And then that turned into a sarcastic comment in my mind.
And maybe you expect me to respond with a sarcastic comment over your thinking something through, instead of imagining I might appreciate your thinking or even enjoy your thinking.
I have struggled on the whole with coming here. But I do come anyway. I'm not sure why.
Well, I think that's quite an important question about, why you come here. And perhaps it's a question that comes to mind when you're inclined to break away as a way to manage what's difficult here.
In fact, I've struggled with the whole process. To be honest, I've been thinking about this the whole 2 weeks. I don't want to come anymore.
So I'm wondering if you and I can appreciate here what you've been saying through our session today. And that on the one hand, there's the you who feels angry for being let down at the last minute, which is a reminder of all the chaotic and unpredictable behaviour that you experienced with your mum. But then there's also the you who wants her mum to know just what it feels like to be left at the drop of a hat.
I'm still so angry with her. And she's ill. How do I make sense of that?
Well, I think you're wanting to make sense of feeling angry with your mum whilst also caring deeply about her at the same time.
I want to cut you off. I want to have a break. I hate the fact that I felt angry when you cancelled last week. And I'll never know why you cancelled.
You'll never know exactly why I cancelled, it's true. And perhaps it's easier to think that I'd drop you at the drop of a hat and for no good reason. But then there's also another part of you, I think, perhaps a more grown-up part, who has come to trust that her counsellor wouldn't deliberately let her down and would be concerned that this might fuel her instinctive reaction to switch her counsellor off.
Yeah. I've struggled to open up. It's not like I would necessarily want you as a friend outside. And over the 2 weeks I had time to consider options. I feel like my mental health isn't great and I can't speak about what I'm feeling. I'm not sure if it's the situation with you or having to talk about all this stuff. I'm sick of talking about it. I feel like I need a break. Recently, I've just felt like I really miss the enjoyment of being in a relationship. I feel like I'm going a bit mad. Crazy in myself and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think you've had a great deal to consider and to manage in the last while, and you've felt left on your own so many times with these fears and worries by lots of people, including your counsellor last week. And yet you found a resourcefulness in you to turn to your friends this time, and you found a way to come back here today and to let me know more clearly about your feelings. Now we are going to have to stop in a few minutes because we're coming to the end of the session, but I do hope that we can find a way to continue our conversation.
Yeah. I'll see you next week.